Hello and welcome back to another wonderful, amazing anti-social chat show. I am one of your co-hosts, Tara Tomiko, digital marketer, lover of all things apps and chatbots lately, and I'm with my lovely co-host here.
Hello, my name's Eleanor Goold and I am Chief Copywriter and Undomestic Goddess at Creative Copywriting.
Ooh. Hey, it's great to be back speaking with you today, Eleanor. I think this show is going to be amazing because we're talking about people who are showboaters, aren't we, today?
Indeed, yeah.
If everyone knows what that means, showboat.
Well, why don't you explain what that means? I think I know what that means, but I'd like to know your definition.
I just have to remember that we obviously have an international crowd. So basically, we're talking about people who like to kind of pump themselves up and express how fantastic they are. And then when it comes time to deliver, everything falls a bit flat.
Okay. Well, I see that, obviously, we all see it a lot online. Sometimes people have these great big headlines, I can do this, I can do that. But actually, when you do a little bit of delving, you think, that's odd. Because, for example, if you see somebody who's trying to sell you marketing services, and then you go or social media marketing, and you go and have a look at them online, and they've got no social media presence, that always makes me wrong foots me a bit. And it's the same, I see it obviously in copywriting world, people can't market themselves properly, and I understand that, actually, because it's a bit like the cobbler's children who have no shoes. Sometimes you can be working too much for your clients and actually forget about but not put as much attention into your own marketing or copy or whatnot. But I don't think there's always a good excuse for it. So, for example, if you were a hypnotherapist who's selling your services for people who want to quit smoking, and you smoke, that would be a red flag to me.
But
and it's
hold on a moment. Mm-hmm. My mum was a nurse and she smoked.
Yeah, but she wasn't a hypnotherapist selling her services to say she can help you stop smoking.
Sorry, Ma, just calling you out like that. Okay, I see what you mean. Okay.
So if you're selling a service to help somebody else, usually in business, so for example, if you're a business coach but you've never actually run a business, my question is, well, how would you know to properly advise somebody? That's not saying I totally disagree with it, because I'm sure in some circumstances, like if you take a sports coach or anything, a coach is someone who spurs you on and gives you ideas or anything, so you don't have to be great at the particular sport, I guess, or discipline. But I've always thought, well, it does help. But my gripe, really, if I have one, is when I see people online shouting about how good they are at something, but there's no proof of that, which is what I call show not tell. So, for example, if I was to start saying I'm a copywriter, I'd like to write for you, but I have no content myself to prove that, to me, I'd think, well, how is anybody ever going to trust in me? Where's that trust there if I haven't got the proof that I can do that?
This is kind of interesting, because I know that we are talking about the online world, but it did make me think of that classic saying that if you can't, is it something like, if you can't, those who can't do teach?
Yeah,
kind of thing. But I know it's a completely different thing, because it's interesting. There was a post today, an ad, a Facebook ad, and I have taken to ignoring the actual ads themselves and reading the comments. Hilarious. And it was one of those typical couple of guys on a boat. It wasn't a yacht, but they were on a boat. And I'm assuming from the comments that the webinar was all about how they had made tons of money, and they're on this, they're on this boat in Jamaica with these women. And people were saying, well, if you have all of that success, why would you need to be running Facebook ads? Why would you need to be teaching people? If everything is going great, why do you need to teach other people? Now, I found that a bit weird, because I thought, number one, if they've done a great job and they're teaching people, then they're just increasing their revenue, right? They're obviously making more money. But it seemed to be that from the webinar, a lot of people thought that they were this this type, or you haven't shown us anything. And then what was interesting, because this these guys, because I don't want to name them, these guys were recommended to me by someone that found them very useful. So I find them to be credible. But what somebody said is they just don't know how to market themselves. They did do great. They are great. They're really good at teaching, but their webinar probably sucked and their marketing skills are just awful. However, their replies to comments, I think, were pretty cool. They weren't, they took it all on the chin and just got on with it. But I think it's these type of posts and ads and the way people are displaying themselves could be the problem.
Yeah, it could be. But, having said that, I guess a counter argument to that would be there are plenty of people who are millionaires and doing really well and still carry on working. Gary Vee, Jeff Bezos, all that.
Right.
Lot, So, some people just, they love and are so passionate about what they do that is part of who they are. And I totally get that. I guess what I'm seeing, for example, on LinkedIn is when people say, oh, hire me for this or that, or I'm a good marketer, or I'm a great copywriter, that kind of thing. But surely that is the one place where you can actually display your skills without having to have that great big call to action. You could just, by subtly, telling stories or providing valuable content, you can prove that you're good at marketing yourself or copywriting, right, or that kind of thing anyway. And I'm sure you see that as well in your own field, Tara.
Right. No, definitely. I mean, it's interesting because I'm one of those people who, I have a website and I help my clients with their blogging, and I don't blog often. But what I tell people is that, you have to find a platform that you use that's going to bring you success, what works for you. And I lately have come to realize that writing on my blog has never been a way of me getting exposure, right? Of clients coming to me. And I think it's more to do with the fact that I'm obviously very much I like speaking, I like video, and a lot of people who blog and do a lot of content, I don't see them on a video. I don't see them, doing something.
You're using the channels that work for you, but you're still marketing yourself. What I'm saying is you're not sitting there and not marketing yourself and then saying to your prospects,
right,
do a really good job for you. If they wouldn't come to you unless you were doing a good enough job marketing yourself.
Yeah, that's entirely true. I guess I guess the type of people that you're seeing, I really want to see who these people are. I mean, I do get it. The ones that I'm used to seeing are those who even have testimonials and have all these people talking about how wonderful they are. But I'm really good at following through on these testimonials. I click through and see who are these people and Google them and use my little spy tools, and a lot of them are fake.
Oh,
as
really?
Well. Yeah.
Well, also when you see a testimonial and they say, oh, Tara's fab, that doesn't really mean anything.
No.
Of course you are fab.
Of course
but I want to see, but why is Tara fab? What results did she get you? And I know actually you ask people you've got a testimonial questionnaire type thing. I'm sure I've seen it, which guides people on how to, and I think that's a really good idea if you're going to have a testimonial to guide your clients on how to write it as well.
It's interesting you said it, because what we talk about social proof. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about when you have your services, you need to market them so that people can see that that you can do what you say you can do. And social proof, which is having testimonials, are quite important. But one thing that I've noticed is missing from a lot of testimonials are click-throughs, like the URL link to the person's website or LinkedIn. And that's one of the things that I have. If somebody asks me for a testimonial that's going on their website, I pretty much want to manage that. I'm managing my optics. I'm like, okay, can you just make sure you use my name like this, link to this page? It's normally just my website. And I use my own guided testimonial form to fill out to give to that person. So I never say that, oh, I've worked with so-and-so and they're fat. I will literally explain why.
But then you're a process queen, aren't you? So
this is the thing, and this is why for me, I think, as we are talking about people who are, and I use the word showboating, I think that it could just be a trap. Maybe that some of these, give them the benefit of the doubt for a minute. Maybe they are great. It's just that they're using that kind of ick way of doing things, right? And maybe that's what's missing. They just need a process. Because for me, I think when I'm explaining what I do, I need to be able to back it up. I can use percentages and so forth. But, I like my visuals. I like my workflows, my flow charts and so forth. So I will use that and I will show. And I think people just don't take the time in business to work on that aspect so that they can actually show. And when you'd mentioned LinkedIn, isn't LinkedIn the prime place to put, you have a place to put some media there, any video you have done.
Yeah.
You can put samples of your work. A lot of copywriters talk about, I've signed an NDA. Okay, take something that you've written for a client and kind of repurpose it in a way. Instead of it, let's just say you worked for the local government and you can't put that on your site, then pretend it was a security firm, just kind of rework it just so that people can see. I know your eyes went somewhere there.
No, I just thought, well, I've got a better idea. If you're a writer and you're selling yourself on LinkedIn, why don't you just do what I do and post
Right.
that? You know what I mean? So you can see my style of writing straight away. I don't need
However, come on, Eleanor, and I'm sure you've met clients who've asked you for samples of your work, and your first thought is, read my website. Hello, look at what I've written.
I have, but also the trouble is with having a portfolio is a lot of those websites change over time. So work you did, I mean, you can take a PDF of it and
of course, yeah.
That's not a problem. A lot of them are confidential. A lot of the work I do, people don't, it is very confidential, and obviously I respect my clients' confidentiality. But really, no one person is the same. So I can give you samples, but that's not going to be for you. Like, for example, people often say daft things, really. I'm sorry, but they do. Like, I really like Apple's website. I want one like that, and I want my copy like that. And I think, well, are you Apple? No. So
right.
there is that side of things as well. So I do ask people if they've seen any copy or the tone of voice and all that kind of thing as well. But really, everybody is or should be different. So even if you have got a kind of sample copy that you've done before, it's not exactly going to fit that other person's what they require, really.
No, it's not, but this is what clients ask for. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, I know.
They ask for
definitely need proof, definitely.
One thing is educating, potential clients and how the whole copywriting works, and it makes sense to look through, your website and your LinkedIn. But I have seen, especially even in your group, in your Facebook copywriting group, that, some of the members say, clients have asked me for samples of my work. So if we know that that's what's going to be asked, and the sticking point is the work you've done is confidential, then I think there should be a way of utilizing the space that you have on LinkedIn.
And there is, and you can do mock-ups. I've seen people do that really effectively as well. Even mock-ups of ads you've seen and other stuff that you think you could do better, or
Right.
So a lot of people have mock-ups, or this is the kind of thing I'd do. So absolutely,
yeah. I don't have any of those on my LinkedIn. I can't even remember what I put on there. I think there's a video. I like doing video. I love video. But copywriters are not fans of video, I've noticed. You're slightly different.
Yeah, well, I am different.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. Putting you on the spot now, what tips would you give?
What a surprise. Tara, you put me on the spot. Never. You never throw me a curveball, never.
No, actually, what I did was I wrote it all down first and checked with you before we started this show.
No, you didn't.
You would be prepared. No, I didn't. We don't lie when we say we don't really prepare for these.
But go on, I want to know now.
Let's just say you have come across someone who is doing this all show and they can't back anything up. Let's just say we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're really good at what they do. What 3 tips, or you can just give one, would you give to, say, a copywriter who is doing this? What 3 tips would you give them to make sure that they don't come across that way?
3 tips. One, That's a good point. I mean, I can only go on what my own experience, okay? And so I would say, you know, what we've already said, if you haven't got a portfolio, then make up a dummy portfolio, just display your skills. Mm-hmm. 2, start using your skills to actually market yourself. You're a copywriter at the end of the day, you know, right? You can write. There's enough platforms out there that need content, fill it up with it. 3, have faith in yourself. You know, have value what you do. If you've set yourself up to be a copywriter, and you know, or anything, you can be really nervous, and you should be as well. You know, just to keep it a bit more edgy. But value what you do. Don't just think that what you have to offer. You haven't got anything to offer to anybody. I always say copywriting is secondary. First of all, as a copywriter, you're there to solve businesses' problems. That's what you are. You're a business enabler. You're part of that, your whole machine, if you like. So you're not just a writer. You're someone who's helping a business.
Great tips there.
So, yeah, for putting me on the spot. You wait, I'm going to put you on the spot. Oh, I just can't.
Ask me anything.
I will next time.
No, that's great. And I think maybe when it comes to the online space right now, there are just so many different ways of doing things. I think some people, I don't know what the phrase is, but they just get frozen. Now I want to sing a song from the film Frozen, but they just freeze, and so they do nothing, and instead just say that hire me, because really, as you said, as a copywriter, they should be able to use, you know, words to express themselves. But it's not even just copywriters, because I don't want this to be just about copywriters, even though that's how I put you on the spot. But I think anybody who's working in the online space and is trying to you know, get clients online, I think you just probably need to take a look at how it looks to everyone else. But some people don't care. So, and
don't be afraid either, I'd say. You know, the online space, when you're on the outside looking in, seems, you know, you look at other people and it's a scary old place, really, because, you know, you're open to any comment on, if you're working in social media, people can just make, you know, comments, and, you know, they can be quite hurtful. But, you know, unfortunately, if you're working in the online space, which most of us are nowadays, for the sort of skills we're offering, you know, you have to be a bit bold, and you have to get a thick skin. Just go out there and do it. I've made lots of mistakes. That's how you learn.
Me too. I think I've made one in this show. I'm so sorry. No, I'm just joking. Okay. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Mm-hmm. Unless you have anything else.
No, I haven't. So that's been great, Tara. So it's love, peace and great copy from me.
And it's ciao ciao from me. We will see you in the next show. Bye.